Welcome to Left, Right, and You with liberal columnist Jeff Ward and conservative public policy activist Alan Skillicorn on WRMN 1410. They're talking current events, politics, local, state, and federal. Your phone calls are always welcome at 847-931-1410. 847-931-1410. Now here's Jeff Ward and Alan Skillicorn and Left, Right, and You.
So right now we want to very quickly, we have a caller here, and it's someone that I actually know, and he's running for the 2-year seat for the Elgin City Council.
Oh, one of the 943 people doing
Yes. Are you still there?
I am here, but I don't think there's 900 of us. There are 9 of us, though, I will say that.
Well,
and tell the listeners what your name is and why you're running.
You bet. My name is Toby Shaw, and I am running in the Elgin City Council for the 2-year race. One of the biggest reasons why I'm running is I just feel there's a complete disconnect between what's going on at City Hall and the rest of us. As I look at how City Hall is operating, I feel like it's missing a key component, and then I feel like it's missing that business experience component. I feel like we've just strayed from what the citizens are really after. You know, as I'm going door to door, I get a clear message that they're frustrated with things that are going on at City Hall and with pretty much all the taxing bodies, to be honest with you. That they've just been forgotten, been taken advantage of. And so I'm running to help fill that gap and get them back connected to the city.
What's really interesting about Toby is that he was a guest in the old format of the show. So back with Paul and Tim, he was on the show. Small, kind of a small world all come together here.
Sure.
Very good. So, you kind of explained what's going on with, kind of business experience and what kind of City Hall is. And I agree, politicians typically are kind of disconnected to their constituents, and I found a lot of them don't listen very well.
What did you say, Ellen?
Exactly. But I guess you are a politician now, Jeff.
Somewhat.
So, and I was going to ask Toby. We started the show talking about there's a meeting here in Elgin, and we have some interested people that are, kind of our friends that are part of the show here, and Tim Yeelan's talking about the component of the riverboat versus the video gambling. So I always like to ask people who are running for office, are you actually attending meetings, or are you just, just running it because you don't know what's going on?
Yeah. Great question. So I ran for the city council 2 years ago, and, I did lose 2 years ago. But since then, I really have been going to the city council meetings very regularly. And I think it's just important to keep up on the issues. By going to those meetings in person, you get to see how things work, how things function. And that's been just a great opportunity for me to learn and grow. The other opportunity I've gotten since then as well is I got to be on the Elgin Budget Task Force in the summer of 2011. It's just an opportunity to really get deeper into the budget, work with city staff and understand their points of view, as well as get deeper into some of the specific funds and things like that are impacting our city's bottom line.
That's admirable, because a lot of people who run, they literally don't go to any meetings. They don't know what's going on.
It drives me nuts.
You can tell election time in the city council chambers because you'll start seeing people come out of the woodwork. I will say that.
I mean, just learning Robert's Rules of Orders takes time. I mean, and you need to know that to do it. But Toby, we opened the show talking about Elgin's move towards video gaming and bars.
Yeah.
We're going to throw the floor open to you. What are your thoughts? Should Elgin be expanding gambling beyond the riverboat?
Yeah. I was there for that presentation last week, and I saw there was a strong support from the business community for it. But I am against the expansion of gambling in the city of Elgin. As I look at the effects of gambling, I think it was a very telltale sign because the people up there knew what the effects of actual expanding video gambling. If you listen carefully, one of the key components of where the funding the city would receive from that video gambling was going to go to the REN's addiction group. Mm-hmm. And that's a telltale sign that says, you know what, we're going to collect those tax dollars from people, but you know what, we know that's going to cause and mess up families, and so we know we're going to have to put it back into some sort of an organization to fix those families back up. And that, to me, was just a telltale sign of this isn't a good idea. Well, this is not good for our community.
Are they taking 100%? Is Elgin planning on giving 100% of their take to the addiction agency?
Not 100%, but there was a certain percentage of. I can't remember.
So they're going to have their take. They're going to have their dealer take.
Well, Toby. Yep. Toby, as you know, when I wrote for the Courier News, I'm opposed to gambling of any kind because
Yep,
and I'm hoping,
well. Yep.
I'm hoping I get these numbers right, but for every, I want to say $46, $45 that gambling brings in, it costs about $250. It incurs $250 in social costs, so it's a net loss. So yes, and as I pointed out last week, at least you can exclude yourself from the boat. But how do you exclude yourself from an Elgin bar?
And Jeff explained that for someone who doesn't understand the realities of the exclusion and getting on the list of your gambling addict.
True. If you are a problem gambler and you've likely gotten help, you can put yourself on a list at the Aurora boat, any gambling boat in Illinois, to be excluded. If they let you in, they will be penalized. And in fact, when the Aurora boat made a mistake 3 or 4 years ago and sent coupons to excluded gamblers, they got nailed. So you can, if you really have a problem and you can't help yourself, you can make it so they will not let you on a boat.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing too. I mean, I've had friends that have had that problem, and the destruction that you see of their personal lives and the impact that it has, it cascades. You know, like you said, the cost is expensive to the community. The other thing that I think is interesting too is I'm afraid too, from a business owner's perspective, that they're even being short-sighted as well, thinking that consumers are going to somehow have all extra money to then go put that in the video gambling machine, and they're going to have also extra money as well to buy drinks and buy food at their establishments as well. And so I'm just trying to see, like, how is that really going to work out? Like, I don't see people all of a sudden getting more money that they're going to be able to continue their existing spending levels at those organizations, as well as gamble in those video gambling machines. So I
can relate to that one because, you know, selling alcoholic drinks is just quite a bit of markup in an alcoholic drink. So if you lose $5 in the gambling machine, that's $5 you're not going to spend at the bar, and, you know, that's, you know, 70-80%, you know, a markup on the whatever they're selling at the bar. Yeah, it is. It doesn't seem, and even that what they're going to get for the $5, I mean, they're going to get a few cents on that dollar versus if they go buy a $5, you know, beer that they can tap and pour for a few cents.
One of the very few things governments just fail to understand, anybody who's traded or especially traded options knows this kind of thing is a zero-sum game. I mean, there's only so many disposable dollars to go around at any point in time. Sure. And they keep thinking they have of these miraculous new sources, but all it does is take money away from something else.
I've always argued it's not a panacea. Our town went through it. Our voters did a referendum against it. Unfortunately, the bar owners pressured the current village president, and he's kind of weak-kneed. So that's what happened. And I can understand the bar owners. And to be honest, I just want to get government out of the gambling. I mean, I want people to go play poker in their garage and have fun if that's what they want to do. And it does add a component to it. I can completely understand. I hate the idea of taxing it. I mean, and that's all this is.
Absolutely.
And they think it's a panacea, which I don't think it really is. And Illinois is going to go down that road.
Yeah. And my sources tell me that Elgin will pass this.
Yeah, I was told that the mayor is the only holdout right near here in Elgin, and they don't even need his vote.
No, the mayor doesn't vote except in the case of a tie.
Yeah, I was really disappointed too in the last city council meeting that just the questioning that came from the council. It was all one-sided in their questioning. If you were there and listened to that, it just didn't seem like they were really looking at it from both sides at all. They just weren't looking at the social impact at all, and that was disturbing.
Now, how do you feel about the business owners? Do you see a way for them to enhance their revenue? If they didn't get this?
Yeah. Well, I guess that goes back to the 2011 decision that they made to tax those alcohol in city.
Wait.
They've already been.
Elgin has a booze tax?
Yes.
Yeah, Elgin has a liquor tax as of the 2012 budget.
When you say a liquor tax, like when you go to a liquor store and you buy a bottle of whiskey,
no, if
right?
you buy a drink, there's a tax.
So if you go to a restaurant in Elgin, let's say you go to the steakhouse on Randall Road in Elgin, and you have a beer with your steak,
you are paying a tax.
Yeah. So the question to me is, if the council is really interested in supporting those businesses, they need to go back to that decision and say, you know what? That's one of the decisions we may want to roll back if we actually want to help those businesses.
This is one of the moments that we should be on TV.
Yeah.
Because if Jeff can explain my face.
Yeah, well, that's that's true. But now we've got to admit we both have the face for radio. But what the folks in Elgin, and I know what Mayor Captain would say is, yes, we did put a liquor tax in, but we have reduced property taxes, which we were far too reliant on. And Elgin was, Toby. I mean, 48% was nuts. I mean, how would you respond to the contention that this tax simply moves the burden off homeowners?
Yeah. I guess I'll ask a question back to you on that one. Have you ever seen, the big reason was tax diversification. That was the coined term that we heard during that point in time. And I guess I'll ask you both, have you ever seen a community not be able to collect or a county not be able to collect its tax allocation or its taxes from the community? I've not heard of a single community that has not been able to receive the levied tax amount from property taxes. And so to me it was very interesting. I'm like, well, typically in a business sense, you want to diversify your income streams from a business perspective to reduce risk that if the business community changed or the business climate changed, you'd be protected. Well, in the case of a city of Elgin or this type of a situation, there really to me is no risk that the city of Elgin is not going to receive that tax levy from Cook and Kane counties. And so to me, the issue of trying to tax diversification was a little bit of a misnomer to me.
But they did.
I just
Toby,
didn't see it as
they have reduced property taxes.
But they've reduced property taxes in spite of raising other taxes in a hidden, non-transparent, inherently dishonest way.
Well, I don't know if it's been that.
And let me add one of them.
Does the average person realize that they're paying a booze tax?
I mean, I wrote about it at length. I mean, everybody reads my columns.
I went out to Elgin the other night, and I didn't realize I was paying a booze tax.
Yeah, but Alan, you sit in your mother's basement and watch, TV.
I'm not a blogger.
Sorry, Toby.
No, I was just going to say, one of the other comments that I heard just today as I'm going door to door is that one gentleman said, when they made that shift from property tax to all these additional fees and things like that, as a fixed income person, it was an elderly person, they said, this hurts me much more than it does other people, where, now I'm actually paying a little bit more of my burden. I have a very simple home, he said, and now my property tax really didn't go down that much, and I've got extra fees that are being, levied equal across every single homeowner, and it's just me and my wife type of a thing. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see how the impacts of those changes had on different types of households. And so I think that was also concerning. I do go back to that point of transparency as well. It is challenging for residents to keep track of how much money they're actually giving and being taxed on to the city of Elgin. Between your sales tax, your communications tax, your property tax, your waste refuse fee, and go on and on. The list is pretty long. It's challenging right now. Someone really wants to calculate, how much they're having to pay to the city. Before on property tax, it was clear, it was transparent, as well as you could deduct it for those that wanted to deduct it from the federal income tax as well. So I just had some inherent problems with that shift.
Yeah, and your perspective is certainly valid, Toby.
That is true. Property taxes I can deduct from my income taxes. Right. Booze tax I cannot. Refuse tax, rain tax.
Although, again, in fairness to Elgin, I'm not defending them, but Elgin was one of the last holdouts that had the residents didn't have to pay for garbage collection separately.
Our town doesn't.
Well, I said Carpentersville
doesn't. But it's actually becoming, I think, more and more popular, especially because that point is that I'd rather some municipal services get paid for via property taxes, and people can deduct them, instead of having it kind of a silly, and, obviously sales taxes can be kind of regressive.
Sure.
So why don't we announce what seat he's running for?
Yeah, Toby, what town are you running again?
This is the city of Elgin.
And what seat again, Toby?
This is for the 2-year seat, and just want to make residents aware of the primary election. That's February 26th.
February 20. And we're going to narrow the field of 9 down to what, Toby?
9 down to 2, according to Illinois state law.
So is that the best 2?
Well,
there's talk of redoing primaries, so that's pretty cool if it's the best 2.
Well, it's the 2 that get the most votes.
That's very good.
This is not a caucus.
And you can actually vote right now.
What's his last name?
Correct. Right. Yes, you can vote early voting down at the Gailbourn Library, as well as for Cook County residents over at the Hanover Township Building.
Okay, and you live in Elgin, right? You're not a carpetbagger, right?
I do live in Elgin. Yes, you do actually have to live in Elgin to run for Elgin City Council, correct?
And Dave here just asked me for you to say your last name once again.
Toby Shaw.
Okay,
S-H-A-W.
That's easy enough.
Another governmental rule. You got to live in the city to run for city council. I'm not buying it. Thank you so much for calling in, Toby.
All right, thank you so much for your time today, Jeff and Alan.
Okay. And listeners,
shoot, I should ask him where he was born, if he has a birth certificate or not.
He's probably Kenyan.
I do have a birth certificate.
Oh, he's still here.
Uh-oh.